All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. First and foremost, thank you so much for the support on the last video. I really appreciate it. I think it's like 5,000-ish views now. Not that I'm bothered about views, but I actually just said to Alex before we started, I'm more bothered about the comments. There's a bunch of nice comments on there welcoming me back. And, you know, like I said, I've still been producing content, still been doing this. It's not like I've disappeared from bodybuilding, but I understand a lot of you guys on YouTube maybe haven't got the finances to go across to MBW, or equally, you just enjoy YouTube a little bit more, which is fair play. So I'm really enjoying getting back to the content and just delivering as much sort of take homes of value for you guys to help you with your training. You know, that's the sole purpose why I'm here. Like, all that I care about is trying to get you guys stronger, bigger, better, you know, either physically or mentally. So that's what we're going to try and do again today. So deadlift day, one of my favorite days. I am coming to the back end of my mini cut now. So I started my mini cut at 211 pounds. I'm now down to 190. I'm aiming to get down to the mid 180s, which will see me with a huge runway for progression back into another gaining phase. That's what mini cuts are for. So they're to break up your off season. You can't just keep gaining forever. You get really soft, and it's counterproductive. Okay, so we have to do these tidy up phases to bring us back down to a good spot and create more runway. So after this diet, I won't be dieting for 10, 11 months. You know, all you'll see is me in a surplus growing. So, and this diet won't have lasted any more than 11 weeks by the time that I finished it. So you can see that the ratios, when you look back at several years where you want to improve, the ratios need to be so heavily weighted towards surplus. Shouldn't be maintenance, shouldn't be deficit. If you're a young lad or female specifically, you need to spend as much as possible of that time in a surplus. So that's really what I'm trying to do now. Like I said, almost done with it, but really ready for today. I think that training's been going fantastically over the last 10, 11 weeks, even with the diet. The diet doesn't really change much for me. As I mentioned in my last video, it's only just small manipulations in terms of volume, and other than that, it's just doing the do. Still trying to progress where possible. Legs and pull have been going fantastically, so more of that to come today. Enjoy, guys. Whoa. So, see me doing a few things there. Probably see me do a few things on the floor, maybe a few things with the cables. Merely just warm up stuff, just getting ready to do what I need to do, the main stuff. So I don't, and I haven't really for a long time, put an exercise before my pull, before my row, which is like, this is my erector work, especially when it's the row. And then when it's my hip hinge, my Sldl, it's tying in hamstrings and glutes a little bit more, but still the eccentrics are not super slow, so it's not like a dumbbell RDL or barbell RDL where I might control them a little bit more. This is like full posterior chain. So you'll hear JP say this a lot, and a lot of what I have learned is a lot from JP. Like he's taught me so much in terms of programming, exercise selection, how to get really strong. So you'll hear a lot of things that are like very similar, because I agree, and I follow so much of what he says, and it's helped me get so much stronger and bigger as a natural bodybuilder. Even though JP's assisted, same thing applies, guys. You still learn a lot from those guys. So yeah, a little bit more faster eccentrics on this, but like I said, I was warming up. So what I was doing with the pull-up is imitating what's happening at the bottom of your Sldls, which is what a common issue with a lot of people, where they don't pack the lats. So you've almost got to think about packing the lats and wrapping the bar around your body before you pull. You'll see this with some of the strongest of the pullers out there. Some good ones to watch are obviously JP, Dan Bastick, a few off the top of my head, Scottish Titan, Greg on Instagram, huge pullers that all really force their lats into a packed position and almost have a little bit of scapular retraction before they pull. so that when the bar does leave the floor, what they're thinking about more is pressing the floor away rather than yanking the bar. So that force transfer is being placed through the floor with a little bit of leg drive, and then obviously everything from the upper body is locked in. And that's why the bar moves fluidly. It's not like the bar moves and then the upper back caves and then you're shifting position and moving things around. It's all one part of a fluid motion. So the more that we train those aspects of the lift at the beginning of the session, a little bit, so a little bit of retraction, a little bit of packing the lats, the easier it becomes to then approach the bar, do the warm-ups and not really have to think about it too much. So then I'm grabbing the bar, the next thing pretty much, and then I'm just taking it through like a variety of motions. So I'll purposely go into like a rounded thoracic here, and then packing the lats to the bottom right here. I'll purposely cue that. And then I'll go into like a more of a row motion. Again, just moving through a little bit of like, I call almost like a barbell complex. The reason why I talk about those things at the start as well is that you can only get to, I think, a certain level of pulling strength, just like anything, without starting to actually having to think about more than just this has got to move up to the point where I'm standing up. Like you've got to think a little bit more about, okay, where am I weak? Where's my breakdown happening? How can I improve that breakdown? So it's like for me, with an SLDL still currently, and you'll see maybe today, is that my first pull off the floor is really hard to get the groove going. And that's often because I don't have the bar position right, and I don't have my lats packed together enough. And my position breaks down on rep 1 compared to like rep 2 or 3 or 4. So I'm still working on that, and this movement's been in now for, well, I did it for about 6 months in lockdown, and then other than that, it's been in for about 11 months now. So it's a long time, and I'm still fixing flaws. You know, I posted up on my hack squats the other day about how people were commenting saying I made it look easy. But that's because I've been hack squatting on a Cybex since like 2018. So I warm up on it and I'm like, okay, this is home. This for me still isn't quite homely. Keith, great example again. Amazing puller. Deadlifts, probably doesn't have to think that much. He's done that since, I don't know, he's 13, 14. Pulled every Saturday. So, you know, the more you do this, the better you'll get. Some days you won't progress the logbook. Some days will just be putting work. You're still putting work in the account. You're still getting better. So the goal is to progress the logbook. The goal is also to fix flaws along the way. Probably one of the best accessories that you can have if you do heavy pulls is just get your own clips. Where are they? These are just, no offense to gyms that provide them, because obviously they're trying to do a good thing, but these are god awful. These will slide off if you've got a good amount of plates on, especially if you're doing faster eccentrics. The bar velocity will just keep moving the plates further and further out. We don't want a Keefe incident where we got 6 plates on the bar and they're all going into the car park. So don't use these, don't bother. Go to Strength Shop. I'm not associated with Strength Shops. In fact, you could use Keefe's code. This is a Keefe shout out video, clearly. So you could use Keefe's code, grab yourself a pair of those collars. The weight's not gonna go anywhere and you can have nice strong pulls. Perfect. So I pulled off a deficit last rotation. So been getting to a bit of a stall with these. It just so happened that one of our sessions Loz pulls the RDLs up a deficit block, and I had to do the same because we were using the same bar, and it just kind of felt nice. It felt like a nice new challenge. Removed a bit of that kind of mental stress I'd been building up around the Sldl for the floor, because it just allowed me like a new thing to work towards. When you're working towards the same exercise, even every 10 days, it can get very demanding in a good way. You've got to embrace that challenge. I didn't plan to run like the deficit fully, just merely as a little bit of a break in the normal Sldl setup, and it moved well. But for me and my mechanics, like I even struggled to stay in a stiff leg position off the floor. I've got quite short arms, and I've not got like massively long legs. My legs are actually pretty short, but I've not got huge arms. So like for me, the Sldl position any higher than the floor level is very difficult to stay in a stiff leg. Like if I build up the deficits, I'm definitely risking an injury at some point. So for me, I'll do them occasionally, but for now, I'll move back today at least to the floor, see what we can get. And then obviously as body weight and food comes up out of this diet, they should fly. And really my goal with these is get a really good set at 240. 240 for like 5 or 6 would be lovely. Lofty dream by the end of the year, stiff legging 260 for a double. So basically matching my conventional deadlift strength. That'd be good, that'd be really good. It's doable, it's definitely doable. Got gifted some Dove aftershave from one of the powerlifters. It's this chalk box. This is why having powerlifters in the gym is helpful. Because when you forget your chalk, they've always got some. They've always got some. Whew. Felt a little bit interesting that. Come on, come on.
All right, let's fucking go. Come on, nice and strong. Powerful. Powerful, let's go. Yes, 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 yes. Stick with, that's it. Here we go now. Get your brace, let's go. Strong. So much faster, so much faster. Come on, again, again. Go, go, go! Yes! Come on, AJ. Take one. Come on then. Fucking come on! Big pull! Big pull! Through, through, through! Stick with it! Stick with it! There you go.
Fuck.
Honestly, you know what it is? It's that first pull, because once you hit that second one, when you watch it back, it was so much faster. It is.
Yeah.
When you get better at the skill of that initial pull off the floor by doing it more and more, they'll feel so much easier.
But look at my 230. Look at my 230 at 211. My 230, super quick.
Well, yeah, of course body weight's going to be playing a role.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
That's
they're going to
what I
get better though. Like still to do that when you're 20 pounds down is
felt
fucking bad.
Every rep felt so much harder.
Yeah.
unbelievably hard. Yeah. So, not what I wanted today, not at all really. My best with that is 6 reps, that was 4. My best with that was when I was also 22 pounds heavier. You know, if you watch this video, it kind of, the message that I always try and deliver is that intensity is the variable that matters the most. And if you had a gun to my head, I could not get another rep. No way. That was everything I had in that set. In fact, again, I think, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't have bothered locking out the first rep and would have just said, nah, it's too heavy today, I'll just ditch it. And that's really what makes the difference. There's a lot of people out there, yes, that will continue with the set, but there's a trend with those people and they're all at the top of their game. So if you're in a diet phase, you're coming down and you back down on lifts like that are just hard, then you're not going to be made for this. There's going to be people that are just better at you in the gym floor. That's all I could have done today. So it is what it is. Next session, I'll come in, I'll try and do better again, and that's it. I've not got long of this phase left, and then one of the main drivers of performance will come up, which is food. So like right now my food is very low, so to be able to do that is decent, but it's still, whatever way you look at it, it's still shit. It's still shit, because you want so much more than that. You don't want to be just doing stuff that you've kind of either done before or is even slightly poorer than what you've done in the past. But it's the reality of bodybuilding, you know, like you're not going to progress all the time. You're not going to progress through phases in which you're dropping a lot of body weight all at once. So yeah, guys, we'll take it and we'll move on. We'll have a good rest of the session. I think the important thing, alongside just the standard cues that you've probably already heard, like using your opposing arm to brace, getting into a neutral spine, the important thing to think about here is looking at what happens at the elbow when you change your grip position. So the goal here is to have our elbow running as close to our rib cage and then our hip as possible to target the lat. So if you look at what happens when we move into like a pronated grip, the elbow is just finishing further away from that target. But as soon as we come into neutral, a bit better, a little bit of supination, even better. So like that's what you need to understand. Like just putting your arm out in front of you and noticing where your elbow goes, that can teach you a lot about where it's going to finish and then what you're going to bias when you're training your back. Just because it's a single arm movement, just because some people think it's like fluff work or whatever, it doesn't mean you go light and you use 5 kilos and you just try and find your lats for the whole session. You still treat this just like anything else. You treat it just the same way you treat a big pull off the floor. Like yeah, maybe the big pull, you'll put a bit more aggression into it, but this is still a massive part of your session. This is the first exercise where we're challenging the lat. You've got to still take it absolutely all the way there. Again, no exercise is fluff work. The moment you start to think of your sessions like that, you're just doing junk volume. You're just adding fluff for the sake of adding fluff. Every exercise matters. Love it. Good. Yep. Come on, again. Short, good. Hold on, okay, come on. Hold on, always short. Tiny touch, good, you're eccentric. So I find on this, like a little bit of scapular protraction. So allowing your shoulder blades to be pulled forwards in the stretch is okay. What you don't want is seeing your shoulder elevate significantly. So when you set it up, this is why I use 2 hands. Get your shoulder blade on the working side slightly depressed, slight bit of lateral flexion. So you'll see what I mean when I pull in, and then go from there. Don't do this really short range where you're basically just training the lat and it's mid or short range. You're not going to get it fully lengthened. and we want to try and create a full range challenge here with this movement.
Good, come on. Nice, come on. Yes, good, come on. All you again. Yes. Here we go, here we go.
So I'll do one heavy set here. Again, that felt basically 8 reps, 7 plus 1. And then I'll do 2 lighter sets, and they'll both do the same weight, aiming for around about 11 to 15 reps. Both sets, similar tempo, controlled eccentrics. Not trying to overspend time in the contraction or anything like that. I think if anything, just keeping a consistent tempo allows you for using the most amount of weight that you can possibly use with standardization to it, because you'll often find with the 1 count in the short, as you progress, it becomes less of a 1 count in the short. So I just like to use the same tempo on both sets and progress like that. So if you feel a pull down a lot in your bicep, what you maybe need to just reassess is what you want is your lower arm as an extension of the cable. So as you come into the shortened position, the cable should be literally running through your lower arm. If you find like you're pulling like this and you're increasing the degree of bend at your elbow or elbow flexion as you're coming into the shortened position, you'll just end up recruiting a little bit more bicep, because that is bicep, this is lat. One thing I find here, which may provide value to some of you, is that if I actually go too strict, I know this might seem like a term that is not really a thing for some people, I respect that, that's fine. But if I go too strict, my velocity to my concentric is so slow that I don't feel like I've got any power or intent behind the movement. So I think you need to find the balance between a tempo that you get good connections with, but a tempo where you're also creating a strong concentric. Like most of weight training, in fact, all of weight training, is you need to create force. You know, we need to try and move as much weight as we can. Yes, with correct form, but you need velocity, you need power to try and get behind that weight. If you're just moving in slow motion, trying to imagine the perfect arm path, I feel like you're really gonna cost yourself load. You know, like that top set was the full entire stack for a good 7, with as slow as I feel is appropriate. Any slower than that, and I feel like you're actually going to take away from your progress here. Another good way of understanding whether you're training to failure or not is, let's say you have the typical 3 sets of 8 to 12, which is not a bad thing. You don't have to do top sets and back offs. But let's say you're doing 3 sets of 8 to 12, and you pick a weight, and you tell me all sets are to failure, and you get the same weight for 12, 12, 12, that's not 3 sets to failure. As you go through those sets, your fatigue will rise. Therefore, if you're not spending all day between sets resting, your reps should drop off. So a more realistic representation of that would be 12, 10, 8 with the same weight. That's a more realistic representation of 3 failure sets. So keep an eye out for that in your own training, so I know a lot of people maybe struggle with that. Yep. Oh, fuck. Moving on from the lat work into our first upper back exercise, which actually used to be a single arm dumbbell row. I just don't think the single arm dumbbell row is a great exercise for the lats, hence why it's for the upper back. I think it's a great exercise, by the way, so the reason why we're actually putting it out today is because Loz has hurt her sternum a little bit. So when she's bracing hard on the bench for the row, it's really hurting whatever side is the opposing arm. So I thought, unfortunately, I'm really sorry, but I can't pronounce his first name properly, so I'm not going to butcher it, but the guy that owns the dungeon in Dubai, he has this exact machine, and I must admit, I've seen him use it a few times, and I've thought that looks really nice. And I've never seen anyone use it in here. So I'm kind of copying it off him because I thought it would be a good replacement today. So this is going to encompass not only upper back, so we're going to have our elbows coming away from our rib cage at a wide angle. And we're also going to have a kind of semi-pronated grip because it just works well for this. You don't always have to have a pronated grip for upper back, but it just works well here. And it's also going to tie into erectors, okay? So we've got kind of one set of erectors from the stiff legs and another 2 sets here. So we kind of already had that with the single arm dumbbell row, so it works well as a replacement. The reason why we're using 10s is just so we look stronger than we are. It's as simple as that. No, it's just because the range of motion is going to be better with the 10s rather than 20s. So yeah, I'll give this a shot. Feel really nice in the warm-ups. So yeah, you'll notice my upper back round on this. That's purposeful because part of the function of the upper back muscles is scapular protraction and retraction. So if you see my upper back round, that's not bad form. It's actually conducive form for training the upper back. Just so happens that a lot of people that get lower back issues would be better off using, if you're doing a row for the upper back, you'd probably be better off using a chest support. But I have no issues with my lower back, and I want to load it as frequently as I can because I want like really thick erectors on stage. So for me, bending over with a weight, if I have an opportunity to recover from it, I'm going to do it. Yeah, we're almost holding like a bit of an isometric Sldl stretch as well. It's quite nice.
Yes, oh. Lovely, lovely. Yes, oh. Good. And again, come on. Oh. There you go. One. There you go, good.
That's literally like a really ideal setup for a row.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
It's really good. I feel like the failure point on it is just so much better than doing like any other sort of bent over row where I don't feel like I'm taking the piss either. Sorry, smile on you. Either from the start of the set or towards the failure points as well. They actually feel quite locked in.
I think for me, loading the 10s helps because if I loaded 20s, I'd go way too heavy on this.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, minimum like 4 or 5 plates on there, and then it would turn into like a deadlift row hybrid, which serves purpose, but not at this point in the session. So yeah, nice.
Good Instagram comments, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll credit the Dungeon Dubai for this. So if you're not following. Well, if you've not visited and you live in Dubai, which I know a lot of people that actually watch the channel do live in Dubai, go and visit. I'm pretty sure they do day passes in there, so when we go next to Dubai, I really hope to try and visit that gym.
Good, come on. Yeah, that's it. Power up the stretch, come on. There you go.
Oh! Great machine this. It's a really good machine for later in the workout because the first exercise we challenged our lats in their shortened position a little bit more. So here the drop off as we come into the short, it's absurd. Unless you've tried it, it literally feels like there's nothing there, which is good and bad because the lats are very strong in their lengthened position, so you can load it with a ton of weight. That's why when you look at the machine you see a lot of people using a lot of weight on this. That's the reason why. It's very, very, very like low load, low resistance in the short and a lot in the lengthened. So yeah, we have to really quite load this one up.
Good, come on. Yes, good, come on again.
Oh, yes.
Nice, come on. Good.
Up.
Drive it down, come on. Yes, 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 lovely. Power, power. Yes, good.
Yes. So this is another one of those exercises where I think a little bit of, you know, kind of helpful body English is appropriate to get you out of that stretch, get you closer to the contraction. Not from rep 1, 100% not. Too heavy if it's from rep 1. Final few reps, you know, you'll notice me almost come into the stretch and kind of rotate a little bit to get the initiation back and then driving my elbow down. Again, I just really, put it this way, if there was something wrong with that, there would be a lot of people out there that are that have amazing backs that wouldn't have amazing backs. It's not a coincidence that, yes, some people have to think a little bit more and they've used body English for years on some movements and it's just not worked. Fair play. Go down the super accurate route. But there's a lot of people out there that you would look at their training and you would think, yeah, oh, it's just genetics. But I think a little bit of the right momentum sometimes, a little bit of body English, a little bit of oomph behind movements can get you 20, 30, 40 kilos up in loading. And, you know, that then takes you to greater mechanical tension. That then takes you to a bigger back. So try both for a long time, implement both strategies into your training, and ultimately find what works for your physique. You know what I talked about earlier about upper back not having to be in pronated grips. The reason why a pronated grip doesn't work too well here is to come into a position like this, and there's not only a lot of elbow flexion, but there's also a lot of wrist flexion. So you tend to get a bit of pain in the wrist and a bit of a pump in the forearms rather than the upper back. So if we go round to a neutral grip and we cue elbows out away from the body and protraction, retraction, this is still mainly an upper back movement. If you wanted it more lat, bang, that would not be a bad lat movement, okay?
Let's go, come on. Again. Powerful drag back, let's go. Get it short. That's it. Come on, come on.
All right, so last back, well, if you count rear delt, rear delt's rear delt. So last back sort of focused exercise of the day. This is kind of like a Terrace focus pull down. Now some of you might know kind of what we're trying to hit there, but the reality is, due to me going through retraction, retraction, having an arm path that's like slightly in front of the body, but this machine actually like diverges. So converges means come together, diverges means it splits apart. So it's not a great lat exercise. It's more akin to like a good rear delt or upper back exercise this. But the way the arm path is pulling slightly in front of the body, as you'll see, we're going to hit a bit of like teres, which is the muscle that kind of shows in the front relaxed pose, in the front double bicep, front lat spread. Kind of like front lats, if you want to call it that. No, it's a bit bro sciencey, but that will help you understand where it is and where it shows in a physique. So yeah, that's it, 2 sets here. And to be honest, I must admit, when I've come down this time, one of the muscles that I have seen an improvement in is my lats from the front. My front relax was already a decent pose, and I think I know it's even better now from what I'm able to create from the front and the front double bicep. If I will have bigger arms next time, 100%, there's no doubt, but if I can distract away from a little bit of a weakness through the arms with really good development through my lats from the front, then that's gonna claim me back ground in the front double bicep, because my front double bicep is a shot where I still feel really exposed to someone that's gonna be next to me with like massive arms. So, I mean, I want massive arms, so this helps, but I want massive arms as well. Yeah, just a quick note on this one as well, is that due to being an adjustable resistance profile, it makes sense. Again, due to the fact that we've smashed every portion of our back, to set this on setting 3. The other option would be setting 5, yep, setting 5. But I find that's actually still a bit too challenging in the middle. So setting 5 is like middle beginning, and then setting 3 is pretty much all beginning range. So that's where we've still got a bit of oomph, and it drops off massively, which again is perfect for how smashed we are at this point in the session. Okay, one with you.
Let's go all the way. All the way. A little bit of guidance, come on, hit that. Good.
So cues there, literally like just when you got first taught how to do a lat pull down on a traditional lat pull down stack, just literally do that, and you'll pretty much smash what you need to smash with this.
Yeah, all day, come on, keep that power, let's go. And again, come on. Make it yours, lovely. Very nice.
Rear delt row. Now we would have hit the rear delts kind of as a tag along with pretty much a lot of the exercises that we've already done today. But to really grow the rear delts, like we do need to kind of isolate them to a degree as well. Hence why we split up like lat and upper back work, so we can kind of isolate those muscle groups and give them a little bit more direct volume. So it's the same for rear delts. So with the rear delt arm path, you kind of want it in between where we have it for upper back and lats, kind of like a middle ground. Back here is where we want to finish. And you also want to cue, which is helpful with these handles because they can kind of have that little bit of freedom. You want to cue out a little bit away from the body, and then a slight little bit of retraction at the end to get the rear delt short. Again, I've loaded this on the top peg, or setting 3. So it's very heavy in the length end, and it will drop off nicely in the short so we can get the rear delts short, contracted.
Come on. Yes, good. Again, come on. There you go, good, nice.
Just also notice it's quite a small range, and that's because we're trying to stay out of heavy protraction, because as soon as you go into a lot of protraction when the goal is rear delts, you're going to start to, well, you have to come out of protraction, you have to retract. So a lot of protraction and retraction will end up with the upper back just taking over, regardless of where you try and direct your arm path. So when you start learning these, my advice is don't go too heavy. Try and learn the arm path that you feel in your rear delts, and then you can start to actually load it up, and it will become a movement where you can really like progressively overload your rear delts, rather than just doing a few, you know, cable curls at the end, 12 to 15 with the same weight every single session. Do you expect your rear delts to really grow if you're just going to do that at the end? Probably not. Might work for some, but it's probably, unless you've got really good delt genetics, it's probably not going to work for a lot of us. So you have to actually be progressive with them, just like anything else.
Good, come on.
First bicep exercise, incline dumbbell curl. One of my favorites. Biceps are very, very strong when our elbows directly to the side of our body. So in terms of loading potential and progression, this exercise to me makes the most sense to come first. And then we'll go over to the prime preacher and we'll do more of a lengthened range setup with like a single arm, like a very sort of locked in exercise. And then I'll rotate between, I do this on both sessions actually, so I love it so much. On my leg day, I'll do a cable curl, just a traditional cable curl, elbow to the side. And then on my other pull session, I will do a dual cable curl with my elbows behind my body. So that's kind of my bicep exercises. I do 6 total sets on this day. I do 3 total sets on my leg day. And that's it at the moment. When I'm back in the surplus, which I'll go through probably on YouTube at some point, I'm going to be tweaking around my split just a little bit to try and prioritize a little bit more of my chest and shoulders again in the next phase, chest, shoulders and arms. And so my split might change a little bit and my arm volume will come up probably quite considerably. I still need better arms. They are definitely improving, which is great news. Every shot that I look at, they're better, but I still want them to be much, much bigger. And I think there's something so impressive about big arms. It just makes every pose look massive. So I need to chase that down, and I absolutely will. So just gonna keep working away at these. Oh! Yep. So in the last video, a few people asked me about my competitive plans, and I think the answer is very simple for me at the moment. My why with getting on stage is, of course, continual progression of my own physique, but I think my deep embedded why is winning the overall title, the whole show at the UKDFBA finals, and then being able to be a competitive pro. Now, that competitive pro goal, really when I look at it and I see who is at the level I want to be in the pro classes, we're looking at late 20s at the earliest, early 30s, pretty much a consistent variable of who's up there. Now, I turn 27 this April, so very soon, and I don't know whether 28, which is next year, I don't know whether that's enough time. I don't know whether 2 years has been enough. I'm not certain of it yet. I think this diet has shown me that I've definitely stepped forwards, but I want to next time, whether it be 25, 24, 26, 27, whatever, be in a position where I really know that even if I don't tick off one of the goals, I should be at a really good level to be a pro athlete and step into the pro ranks and kind of start to make my name in the professional field of natural bodybuilding, because that's my long-term goal as an athlete. So when I think about my off-season length, it's like that's the next goal, that's the next step. So however long that really kind of takes, obviously it's hard when you're off-season, you don't see all of the improvements you're making, but that's just kind of like a wrap-up of my deep why as an athlete. And another reason why I'm not afraid to take time is I absolutely love this. I love training, I love progressing, and sometimes I think I do actually love it more than getting on stage. Not that I don't like dieting, I actually really like the challenge of dieting, and I love the aspect of pushing my body to its limit. But I can do that on the gym floor, I can do that with my logbook, and I can do that with things that I've never done before on the gym floor. Progressions, weights I've never lifted. That to me is something I'm extremely passionate about. And I think as an athlete, when you get obsessed with that, you find it much easier to take off seasons because your why is not so entwined with getting on stage. So hopefully that helps some of you guys kind of maybe contextualize or affirm your why as a bodybuilder and think more about how long you're spending in off seasons when your true goal might be another year or 2 or 3 away. So when I step back on stage, who knows, but I will be much better. and I will get very close, if not achieve all of the goals that I have.
That angle good on you. Okay. I feel like you need to look.
So if anyone's used this Prime Preacher curl, either the pin-loaded one or the plate-loaded one, which we've got here, you'll know that it's just unbelievably heavy. So part 5 kilos and 1.25 on, and it's insane, especially when you go single arm. You can load it up a bit more if you go dual arm, but the thing is, what that often pulls you into is that kind of like externally rotated position, which from a perspective of lining up with the bicep, it's just not going to work too well. So yeah, again, if you get great connections, you get no elbow pain, no shoulder pain with bilateral preachers, go for it. It's not going to cause a massive issue, but if you want to kind of optimize your preacher curls, I'd say single arm for most people is going to work a little better. All right, guys, so that is pretty much a wrap on this session. I've got a couple of sets of preacher curl left, and then just a standard regular cable crunch for the abs, and then we're done. I tag my abs on at the end of legs and at the end of pull. The reason why I don't do them on push is because push comes the day before pull, and I either row or hip hinge on pull, and I don't want my core to be fatigued at all going into those movements. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, as always, thank you very much for watching. Pop a comment below if you've got literally any questions whatsoever, happy to answer, back up or rationalize anything that I am doing, because there should be a reason. And again, if you've got the time, check out MBW. I really appreciate anyone that did sign up as a result of the YouTube coming back, because I saw a few in the comment section that joined. And you know, if you've joined, comment on my log, say hi or ask any questions. It's always welcome. So yeah, guys, follow along as always, and I'll catch you in the next one.